Hello, friends. Welcome to my show once again. And in this show, I try and answer a lot of questions and queries that you have on road traveling in our country. One such question that I get often is, how expensive is road traveling? Is it very expensive or is it inexpensive? This is a very tricky question to answer. The reason being, cost or inexpensiveness is a very subjective term. What might be expensive for me might not be expensive to you, and vice versa. But I will still try and put in some perspective, basis the experience that I have got all this time, and that could probably give you a fair idea of whether road traveling is expensive, and if so, why, or is it inexpensive, and again, if so, why not? See, the first thing is, a road trip of 150 kilometers and below does not really qualify as a road trip for me. So if you're talking about anything above 150 kilometers one way, or ideally about 300 or 350 kilometers one way drive, is when I can actually call it a road trip as far my experience is concerned. So now when you're talking about, say, about 350 kilometers of a drive one way, which is approximately about 6.5 hours driving, the first thing that you will need to have is a very comfortable vehicle. Not only comfortable, it needs to be sturdy, it needs to be reliable, and it needs to be a very, a vehicle which you can depend on. And all these things will multiply the moment your family is traveling with you in that road trip, because you are the pilot and you are responsible for their safety and their comfort. So of course, the vehicle quality, the build, the engine quality, reliability, and of course the network of service centers across the country will matter, if you're doing a road trip of 350 kilometers and above one way. So the first investment that you will need to do before you go ahead doing a road trip is you need to buy a car. And a car which meets those criteria which we just talked about, that is going to come at not lesser than 6.5 to 7 lakh rupees in the Indian market. And that is not a very small amount. A 7 lakh rupees car is not a small amount. That's number one. Abhi aapne gaadi kharid li hai. Now that is not enough, because you will have to drive the car, right, to have that road trip, and that involves expenses as fuel. Now, going by the standards of fuel prices today, petrol is, in a lot of places, it's 80, couple of rupees extra and couple of rupees below 80. You got diesel, which was cheaper earlier. Now, diesel prices are extremely expensive nowadays. And even for that matter, CNG, jo ek time pe 35, 36 rupees mein milta tha. I mean, come on, there are places where I've paid about 68 rupees, a kg of CNG. So, you see, the fuel prices are also getting higher and higher by the day. So that way, the cost of running the vehicle is going to also increase. अब अगर मैं आपको calculate करके बताऊं, now most of these vehicles do under test conditions show a fantastic mileage. कुछ 20 kilometer per liter दिखाते हैं, and certain go even beyond, like 25 kilometers per liter. And but the problem is, in the Indian highways, it's not only the right of a four-wheeler or a two-wheeler to drive. Cows have a right to walk on the highway. Dogs have a right to walk on the highway. You have goats who will definitely demand their own time in the highway and space in the highway. And then a lot of other kind of animals whom you will find on the highway. What does it mean? It means you'll have to brake often. Every time you see this bunch of animals, out for a leisure party on a highway, you'll immediately need to brake, change gears and move ahead, and again after some time you'll again need to brake. That consumes a lot of fuel. Now that is not the end of the story. Indian highways पे जब आप एक जगह से दूसरे जगह पे जाते हैं, you will pass through a lot of smaller towns, a lot of smaller villages. अब problem यहाँ पे क्या है कि all logics of traffic sense fail in this kind of areas. You got all sort of vehicles. You got single-wheel vehicles, you got two-wheel vehicles, you got three-wheel vehicles, you got four-wheel vehicles, you got vehicles with motors, you got vehicles without motors. I mean, you've got people walking around, you've got cows walking around, you've got animals walking around, dogs, and it's basically a mayhem. And that poor little street, the road, that becomes an absolute war zone. And you and your poor car are stranded. The only thing that you can do is brake, change gears, brake, change gears, brake, and change gears, and just slowly and slowly trudge on. So इससे क्या होता है? इससे your fuel consumption goes on. So that great 25 kilometer per liter, 20 kilometer per liter, 26 kilometer per liter, that goes for a toss. So your average fuel consumption becomes approximately 14 to 15 kilometers a liter only. So now you calculate, so 15 kilometer per liter is what basically your actual average of the vehicle is in the entire stretch. And you got about 500 kilometers one way and another 500 kilometers back. So you're doing 1000 kilometers of a drive. And petrol prices are around 80, 82, etc. आप calculate करके देख लीजिए. The cost of that journey is pretty high. Just fuel consumption. So apart from that, you will also have to pay toll taxes. So in our country, if you're driving down the highways, so different stretches of highways will have different kind of toll taxes. It could be as little as 45-50 rupees, or it could go as high as about 150 rupees. And that is quite a big amount to be paid, if you're traveling a long distance. For example, my drive from Bombay to Delhi, I ended up paying toll taxes about 1200 rupees one way. And that is quite a lot of money. Apart from your own driving expertise, one thing that you're going to depend on purely is your car or the vehicle that you're driving. You definitely don't want to end up with a breakdown in the middle of a jungle with your family. For that, you will need to service your vehicle regularly. And if you are driving often and if you're going out for longer road trips, the frequency of servicing will increase. The cost for servicing will also increase. A regular somebody who just does city driving, going to office and coming back every day, उनको मालूम है that yearly service is about 8 to 10,000 rupees आपका निकल ही जाता है गाड़ी के लिए. Now imagine you're doing 500 kilometers, 1,500 kilometers, 3,000 kilometers, and even more in different patches of road, in different terrains. So your car will need to be serviced more often and will require more detailed servicing. So there's a lot of cost to it. अच्छा, ये तो हो गई गाड़ी की बात. That is more of the technical part. अभी खुद के लिए, let's talk about ourselves, the human beings. Now you are going for a drive, you're going from point A to point B, and definitely the idea is to have fun. The idea is pleasure. You will have to eat food. आपको जगह जगह खाना खाना पड़ेगा. That is a cost, if not a large amount, but there is a cost to it also. If the distance is, for example, 500 kilometers and beyond one way, you need to stay over for a night somewhere. And you can't stay in any shady hotel if you are driving down such distances and you got a family with you. So you need to stay in a decent hotel in a decent location. That also is a cost, mind you. Longer the distance of your drive to the destination, more number of night halts you would do. For example, if you're driving about 1,500 kilometers one way, you will be probably staying over for 2 nights. Or for that matter even 3 if you're getting tired. So उस केस में आपको 2 रात का minimum you'll have to stay in a decent hotel, and decent hotel is expensive. You will have to have food for those 3 days, right from the breakfast, the lunch and the dinner. You've not even reached your destination. There is a cost to it as well. So you see, if I can conclude, if you want to take up road traveling, especially by car, please don't do it thinking it is cheap. It's a cheaper mode of travel. Let me tell you, it is an expensive mode of travel. If you're just talking about the money, it is definitely expensive. It is definitely going to take out a lot of money in different forms, whether it's maintenance of the car, whether it's your own maintenance, whether it's hotels, petrol, toll tax, etc. etc. It is expensive. But kabhi na, money is not everything. It is the value of the money which is more important. As far as I am concerned, yes, I know it gets expensive, but the value that I derive out of paying that money and driving down is, I think, immense. I get to see a lot of places. I get to eat a lot of different kind of food. The entire control is with me. And I think that way I have almost seen the entire country, smallest of the smallest villages, bigger cities, interacted with a lot of people of different cultures, languages, eaten different kind of food, and many such things. So, अगर मैं compare करूँ the amount of money that I'm spending and the value that I'm driving out of it, then I will say कि obviously the amount that I'm spending is worth. But if you're just talking about the money, boss, it is expensive. Definitely it is expensive. Then traveling by a train or a plane or catching a bus, it's way expensive. Value? Well, if you're looking for value, yes. So I hope I have been able to answer very honestly the question that you all had. Expensive hai ya sasta hai? So I have given you my perspective. I'm sure there'll be different perspectives depending on different experiences by different people, and I will not say they're right or I'm wrong or I'm right or I'm wrong. I think it is absolutely experience-based activity that we all are doing, that is driving. So, but yes, my experience says that paisa-wise, so definitely it is expensive, but experience-wise, जो आप value drive कर रहे हैं, it is worth it. Thank you so much for watching our video. I hope you liked it. I will be coming back with a lot of more videos of similar kinds, trying to answer different questions that you will be having. Thank you. Have a great day, evening, and a good night, whichever part of the world you are. See you.